Susan Boyle does not really give interviews. We know very little about her. She came from nowhere to become the most talked about, downloaded performer in the world.
I'm expecting Piers to be professional in the questions he asks me, and I'll try and be as honest as I can be.
What I know about Susan is that she is a feisty cookie. She's got a temper, she doesn't suffer fools, and yet I still don't know the answers to basic questions. Has she ever been in love? She is unpredictable. So I'm excited and a little bit apprehensive.
Anything can happen.
Susan, how are you feeling? You don't normally do big interviews, so I'm curious about how you're feeling about this.
Just what the heck am I doing here? I'm here to show what I can do.
There's more to Susan Boyle, you think, than...
There is a lot more to Susan
than
Boyle.
the caricature that maybe the press has sometimes led people to believe.
That's the press.
I mean, it's been an extraordinary story. I suppose some of the most extraordinary things to me are some of the statistics. For example, you have outsold Lady Gaga in the last year.
Lady Gaga?
You've outsold Paul McCartney, Rod Stewart, Elton John. You've outsold everybody, Susan.
I feel absolutely gobsmacked.
Are you aware of how well you sell?
I've got to be honest here, Piers. No, I'm not aware of it at all.
Because your manager said to me that there are two things you never ask him. You never ask him what position you are in the charts anywhere, and you never ask him how much money you're making.
You're two dirty words.
Why don't you? I mean, I'd be desperate to know.
But I put love of the job first, I think.
Does it feel real to you?
I've got to admit, I feel better with it now. But to begin with, it didn't feel very real. I felt as if I was in a bubble, and it was all happening outside that bubble. You know, I mean, when the reporters started coming to the house and everything like that, you say, gosh, what have I done? Have I done something heck of a wrong here? Or what am I doing right? I mean, what's going on? But for somebody who's not used to it, it does feel unreal, very unreal.
It's been, as everyone knows, it was your great dream to be a professional singer. Do you pinch yourself, or do you think, right, I've got a great opportunity now to have the great long career I've always wanted?
I just say I'm an ordinary person with a job to do, and I want to do that job as well as I can. There's no fancy carry on with me. You just, what you see is what you get.
Do you spend money now? Can you spend money, or do you still feel slightly wary of doing that? Do you still
I'm
feel
always careful with money. I'm not saying mean, but I'm always careful. I've never had much money, so when you've got a lot of money, it's temptation to go mad with it. I think it's best to be sensible with it.
How much do you spend? I mean, how much money do you physically have? Do you get given...
I have an allowance.
How much is that?
OK, cheeky, I'll tell you. It's about 300 to 500 a week, because that's plenty for me.
Really?
Absolutely plenty.
So you're making millions of pounds, but you only actually get £300 to £500 a week?
It's pocket money.
And that gets you by? You're happy?
Quite happy.
What do you spend it on?
Some of it I pay my bills with, so sometimes I buy myself some clothes. One likes to be beautiful. I've only just learned how to go in a taxi.
But don't you have some chauffeur-driven Rolls-Royce now?
Oh, what do you think I am? Come on, behave yourself.
Maybe you're worth billions of pounds now, Susan. You should be flashing the cash.
I don't flash the cash, don't be silly.
No Lamborghini?
Is that a drink?
Have you got a fancy house? Have you splashed out on a big mansion?
I've got a house in Blackburn I bought, and it was a tidy sum, and it's a nice one.
There it is.
Would I lie to you? There you go. Quite nice, actually. That's before they took the sign down, actually, isn't it? Yeah, man.
I heard you didn't move into it straight away, though.
Because I had my mother's house, you see. So you're a bit reluctant to break the emotional ties there. But once you move a wee bit, it'll be a gradual process. Nice.
I mean, it's a lovely house, but it's not this sort of LA mansion like Simon Cowell's. And yet your money is almost reaching his proportions.
Simon Cowell has a different personality.
You think he likes all that stuff?
I'm not Simon Cowell.
Susan, let's remind ourselves of exactly why you're sat in front of me tonight.
OK.
It's the fairy tale that captured the world's imagination.
Well, I've never been married. Never been kissed. Oh, shame. But it's not an advert.
Now, courtesy of the people that know her best, the real story of how Susan Boyle became an overnight global sensation.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by.
With 120 million hits on YouTube, Susan's Britain's Got Talent performance was the most watched clip in the world in 2009.
Susan's story is iconic.
She epitomises the kind of normal person at home who are watching these programmes that can make people's dreams come true, and it actually happened to her.
She's the underdog, isn't she? And she turned into the biggest recording artist of the decade.
From singing in a local pub for fun, Susan went on to become a household name on both sides of the Atlantic.
I had never known that kind of, 100 million hit. Everybody was talking about Susan. Oprah was talking about Susan. Demi Moore was talking about Susan. The whole of America was talking about Susan. China was talking about Susan. They were watching that Susan Boyle moment. That's when I felt something extraordinary is happening here.
We know the voice and have heard about the temper, but to this day, Susan Boyle remains an enigma.
As far as the personal side of her life is concerned, I don't think people really know her at all yet. The general public are probably a little misled by the tabloid press because all they read about is the wacky airport behaviour or something which is not necessarily normal. She's many things. Complex character. I think even she would admit that.
Susan, the allegation is you're a complex character. Would you agree with that?
Fairly complex, yeah. Fairly hard to dig beneath, I would say. But there's more to me than just the wacky wee girl.
Obviously, the press tend to focus, particularly since you become famous, on the bust-ups, the odd incident at airports, all that kind of thing. What is it that triggers those kind of flare-ups with you?
I think most of the time I was tired. But I've learned to control that now.
Because I heard that some of your neighbours back in Scotland when you were young called you Rambo.
Who the heck said that? Well, I think I know who you're talking about. Just you wait till you see him. Oh, I'll give him Rambo. That's the feisty bit coming out and I'll kick his head in. Dress or no dress, the heat gets kicked in. That's him.
I think we're slowly seeing the real Susan coming out here, aren't we?
It's also that's a carry on, isn't it?
I mean, because you're quite a character. You're quite feisty, quite fiery when you want to be, aren't you? You don't suffer
I think the fire's gone out of me now. Couldn't care less at my age.
I don't believe that. I think the fire always burns inside you, doesn't it?
Is that right? Make me angry and find out.
Have you got a temper on you?
No.
No? Never?
Not at the moment.
Susan? I don't mean right between
I
us.
have got a bit of a temper, yeah. But I've learned to keep that under control now because you have to.
You see, when I hear you speak like this, that's the Susan I've known. A lot of people watching this will be surprised. They'll think you're a bit crackers, and they read stuff in the papers. Yeah,
I know different.
They read stuff in the papers all the time that makes them feel that about you. But I've always known you're not like that in reality. How does it make you feel when you're constantly portrayed in a certain way?
You're a journalist yourself. I mean, a lot of things sell newspapers. You don't always believe them, do you?
You're accusing the press of exaggerating a bit, Susan.
A tiny bit. They've never really got to know me. They just see the wee daft lassie, with wee swiddly hips.
There was a story at the time in that week that you'd watched an episode of Britain's Got Talent. You'd seen me praising Shaheen Jaffagoli and flicked a V sign at the screen and abused either me or somebody for telling him he was the best singer of the week.
I didn't aim it at you. Anybody can have a feisty moment, can't they? Yes.
Was it kind of true, that story?
No.
Did you get a little bit feisty?
It was a wee bit of exaggeration. It's a bit like watching a football match, right? And you see your team. You could have done better there. Come on. Get your bloody finger out. Come on. That's what it's like. I didn't tell you to off or anything like that. I didn't say that.
But you were thinking it?
No. Well, you put me in a spot now. I wouldn't say that to you.
Did you
Too nice.
or did you not shout obscenities at Heathrow Airport before polishing a passenger's shoes with a mop and then singing into
Wait,
it?
hold on. That's a bit of exaggeration there. What actually happened is I grabbed the mop. I was trying to be funny. So I grabbed the mop now. And I banged her bum with the mop and everything, you know. I was just trying to be funny. Hey, they didn't like that, true. They didn't like that one little bit, true, no. That's their problem, not mine.
So what happened when you realised they weren't laughing?
I said, well, stuff you, you've no sense of humour. There's nothing worse than psychological cruelty. From name-calling to snide comments behind your back.
What are the jibes that have always really got to you?
Somebody called me a retard once.